Okay, so this is 2014. It's a higher level suspense question and it came up as question 7 in that year. So we're starting off, it's the trial balance of E. Cagney, who is a grocer. Okay, so it's a grocer. So you always need to keep an eye out on what type of a business it is so that you know if they're purchasing an asset or if it's just normal purchases for resale. Okay, then you're given a balance sheet. Okay, so you'll need to use that further down the question when we're asked to complete the corrected balance sheet. And then you're given 5 hours. Okay, so there's always kind of 5 hours that's given to you in these questions. So you're asked to journalise the necessary corrections, which is 54 marks out of the 100. And then you have to show the suspense account, prepare the statement showing the corrected net profit, prepare a corrected balance sheet, and then we've got 6 marks of theory there. So it's 100 mark question in total. So I'm ready to go now. I just have this screenshot done of the first point. Okay, so this is the first hour. And we're going to start working through how to fix this error. So a debtor who owed Cagney €830 sent a cheque for €780 in full settlement. So they owed us €830 and we received a cheque worth €780 in full settlement. So we accepted €780 for a debt that was owed to us of €830. So that means we have a discount allowed there. We gave them a discount. This was recorded correctly in the book, so that's gone in properly in the books. But then no entry was made in the books of the subsequent dishonouring of this cheque, which means that it was the cheque bounced, or the closing of the debtor's account after the receipt of the first and final payment of 10 cents in the euro. So there's 3 parts to this question. The first part is the fact that they put the payment in, the cheque in, and the discount allowed correctly. So we need to show that first in our T accounts. Then that cheque was dishonoured and then a bad debt happened, but we did get paid 10 cents for every euro that they owed us, okay? So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to open up the 3 accounts to begin with, okay? So it was debtor, that was the first one. Then it was bank, and then we had discount allowed, which is an expense. Okay, so the debtor owed us €830, but they sent a cheque worth €780 in full settlement. Okay, so when that happened, we're going to use black pen to show what they did. Okay, so we would have reduced down the debtor by €830 because they no longer owe us that money. Now, just a reminder of the rules. This is an asset account. Okay, so you're increasing by going on the debit and decreasing by the credit. Okay, so reducing our debtor down by €830. In the bank, we would have showed the amount of that we got in the cheque. So that was €780. So that's going in here. And the discount then is the difference of those 2 figures. So we have a discount of €50. Okay, so that's what happened. And our debits and credits at that point were fine. Okay, but then it says no entry was made in the books of the subsequent dishonouring of this cheque. Okay, so the cheque bounced. Let's go. The cheque had bounced. So let's undo that cheque. So €780, the cheque didn't go through. So we're removing that from the bank account. If the cheque bounced, you're not going to give them the discount anymore. So undo the discount, 50 in there. And then also you need to put the €830 back into the debtor's account because at this point we are still owed that €830. Okay, so that's me undoing the cheque. Now, the next thing that happened was we were paid 10 cents for every euro that was owed because this debtor is gone bankrupt. So if we know that the full debt is €830, I'll do this in green. So just down here, full debt is €830. So they're going to pay me 10 cents in every euro. So for every euro that they owed me, they only paid me 10 cents. Okay, so that was €83 paid. So they are actually paying us €83. And then the bad debt is the difference of those 2 figures. What is the amount that we're never actually going to get? That's the bad debt. And the bad debt is 830 minus your €83, which is €747 worth of a bad debt. So what I need to show now is that I got paid the €83. Okay, so I'm going to show that in the bank account, €83 going in here on the debit side. The debtor account, again, I'm going to have to reduce that down by the full €830 because part of it was paid, the €83 of it was paid, and the €747, that is a bad debt. So I'm going to open up my bad debt account now. Bad debt. Bad debt would usually go in as your selling and distribution expense if you were doing a question 1. So I'm going bad debt, and that amount, it's an expense, okay? So it's an expense account, so I'm going to go debit side, €747. Okay, so this 830 was the dishonouring of the cheque. This €830 is the bad debt and slash payment. The 780 in the bank on the credit side is because of the cheque dishonoured, and the €83 is in the payment, the amount that they actually paid us then after the cheque was dishonoured. I undid the discount in the discount allowed, and then I recorded the bad debt, and that's it, okay? And some people ask, what about the two 830s? Does that mean in your journal you just show nothing? But you're going to have to show both €830, one on the debit and one on the credit in your journal, okay? So I have my journal all ruled out now and ready to go. So I'm literally putting in anything that I have on the debit side in the T accounts is going into my journal, okay? So I'm going to start off with my debits, okay? This is the way I always do it. You can do them in any order you want. It doesn't particularly matter. Okay, so I'll go for blue pen for my journal. So I'm going to go, first of all, debtor, then I'll go bad debt. Debtor, bank, bad debt, sorry. Debtor, bank, bad debt. So my debtor is 830. Bank is 83. And bad debt is 747. Then I've got my credit side, so I've got debtor, I've bank again, and I've discount allowed. Okay, so debtor 830, 780, and then 50. And then 50. Okay, so let me just double check that I'm right there. 780. Yeah, perfect. Right, so that's my 6 entries now for my journal done. So I just need to give a little narration as to what happened there. So a little explanation as to what happened. So this is for 1 mark. You're just going to go error and explain what happened. Error. So I'm going to say recording of dishonoured check received by Cagney. So recording. So what did we do? We recorded of dishonoured check. Check received by Cagney. And bad debt recorded. Okay, so that's what happened. That's for 1 mark, okay? And that's my first entry done. Next up we have point number 2. So let's have a read through this. Cagney had returned goods previously purchased on credit for €15,800. Okay, so that's how much they were purchased on credit for. He entered this transaction as €18,500. So there we go. First of all, wrong figure. Okay, they got the numbers mixed up. But they were put on the correct sides of the correct accounts. So they're returned goods previously purchased on credit. So the correct accounts are the creditor and the purchaser's returns. Okay, so they did that correctly. Then a credit note subsequently arrived from the supplier showing a restocking charge of €800 to cover the cost of the return. The only entry made in respect of this credit note was a credit of €15,000 in the creditor's account. Okay, so let's start doing it what they have done. So what they did was they used the correct accounts, the correct sides, but they put the wrong figure in. So let's go with that first. So the correct accounts are purchase returns. Whoops, that's a bit... sorry. So we're going purchase returns, and creditor. They're the correct accounts, okay? Now, so they use the correct sides, okay? So the correct sides are for purchase returns, 18,500 was the figure they put in, and it was the correct sides, it was the credit side. On the creditor's account, they also put 18,500 on the correct side, which is the debit side. So just a reminder, that's a liability. So we're going increasing on the credit, decreasing on the debit. Okay. So at this point, there was no issue with double entry, so we've got no suspense, right? But then the credit note subsequently arrived from a supplier showing a restocking charge. The only entry made in respect of this credit note was a credit of €15,000 in the creditor's account. So before this happened, we had equal debits and credits. Then, when the credit note arrived, the accountant put €15,000 on the credit side of the creditor's account, and that's all they did. So this is what our entries look like. We had 3 entries, so they didn't balance, so that's where we're going to have suspense. Okay, so suspense is being opened now. Okay, and I'm going to put 15,000 on the debit side of the suspense account to make that balance. Okay, so now it's our job to start fixing this. Okay, first thing to do to fix it is get rid of that suspense. Okay, it should never be in there in the first place. So 15,000 coming out. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is actually remove this €15,000 here, because that was a mistake altogether. They got a credit note and the accountant increased the creditor's account, which is wrong. Okay, so what we need to do now is get rid of that €15,000 by putting it on the debit side. Okay, so they cancel each other out. Okay, now we need to double check and see how much the credit note is actually, how much of the credit would the credit note actually be for? Okay, so the returns amount, okay, this is what I always do for this question. So return amount, how much did they actually send back? They sent back 15,800, okay. The restocking charge was €800, which leaves the credit note at €15,000. So the credit note is €15,000. So that's how much they really should have put into the accounts. Instead of the 18,500 that they have in this figure here, they should have €15,000 in. So they need to have €15,000. They already have, they already have 18,500 in. So to bring that 18,500 back to 15,000, we need to decrease that account by, to reduce that amount down by €3,500. Okay, so looking up here at the purchases returns, I need to bring this 15,800 back down to 15,000. The 18,500 back to 15,000, and to do that I'm going to put €3,500 on the debit side of the purchase returns account. And now looking at my creditor account, this 15,000 here just basically cancels those two out. Okay, so if I was in a classroom now, I'd be covering my hand over those two 15,000s to show that we're literally just looking at this figure here now, 18,500. So you need to reduce that down again to make it become 15,000. So I need to do that by putting €3,500 on the credit side of that account. Okay, and that's that working done. Okay, so what I need to show is in my journal, I need to show this 3,500. We can net these two figures off. Okay, so these two figures netted off is, we have a debit of 15,000 and a credit of 3,000. So overall, that's going to give us a debit of €11,500. Okay, and then I need to show my suspense. So let's go straight over to our journal. Point number 2, my debit is going to be purchases of purchase returns 3,500. €3,500 on the debit side. Then I have creditor 11,500. And I have suspense 15,000. So you can see there are my 3 entries. My debits add up to 15,000, and then I have my 15,000 on the credit side as well. And then I'm going to give a little explanation as to what happened. Error. Incorrect figure. I'm going to go incorrect figure entered. So incorrect figure entered in the accounts of purchase returns, and correction of restocking charge. Now, so that's 2 of our 5 hours dealt with. Next point is a cheque for €4,260 was paid by Cagney out of a private bank account. Okay, so private bank account. He's using his own personal funds to cover 15 months of hire of equipment for the business, up to the 31st of the 3rd, 2014. Now we are doing the accounts for the 31st of the 12th, 2013. Okay, so that means we have 3 months up until the end of March next year, 2014, paid for in advance. Okay, so what we need to do here is no entry has been made in the books, so that means we've got no black pen. They didn't do anything, so we just need to fix it. So the 3 accounts that we're going to have here is, the first one is going to be capital. Okay, and the reason for that is because the owner, Cagney, has put his own money into the business. Okay, the second one I'm going to have is hire of special equipment, hire of equipment. That will be my expense for this year, how much of it is for this year, and then I'm going to have hire of equipment prepaid, and that will be my current asset. Okay, now, so the amount that he's actually, the funds that he's kind of putting into the business is €4,260. So I need to record that in the capital account. Capital's always on the credit side, so I'm going to go €4,260 on the credit side there. Okay, now I need to split that €4,260 into how much is for this year and how much is for next year. Okay, so if we know that €4,260 is for 15 months, 3 months of that is for next year and 12 months of that is for this year. Okay, so 3 months figure, what I'm going to do there is I'm going to go 4,260 divided by 15 multiplied by 3 to find that it's in fact €852 for 3 months worth of the equipment hire. And then the 12-month figure then is the difference of those two figures, or else again you can go 4,260 divided by 15 multiplied by 12, and that will give you 3,408. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is in our expense we're putting our amount for this year, and that's the €3,408. So I'm going to go debit 3,408, and in the hire special of equipment prepaid, which is a current asset, we're going to put the €852 on the debit side. It's an asset, so I'm going to go for the debit there. Okay, and now we should go straight into our journal. Just those 3 figures been put in. Back up here. My debits are hire of equipment. I'm going to just write profit and loss beside that there, just to remind myself later. And then I'm going to have hire of equipment again. I'm going to write current asset. Okay, so the figures there are 3,408, and we have an 852. Okay, and then I'm going to go capital is my third account. That's the full amount, €4,260. And then I'm going to go with a little explanation of what happened. Error, no entry made for capital introduced to the business. And that's that one done. Okay, next up we have Cagney won a private holiday for 2 worth €6,000 in total. Okay, so the holiday for 2 was worth €6,000 and it's private. Okay, 1 ticket had been given to a salesperson as part of a payment of sales commission for the year, and the other to an advertising firm as payment in full of a debt of €3,250. Okay, so Cagney has won this holiday worth €6,000 and he's given it to the business. So when you're entering something of value to the business, that's called capital. Okay, no entry had been made in the books of this transaction, so we've got no black pen to use. We're just going to use our red pen. We're going to start showing what the entry should have looked like. Okay, so the first one there, as I just said, is capital. Okay, he's entering money into the business, okay, in the form of tickets to a holiday. So capital, he's entering €6,000. Capital is always on the credit side. Okay, 1 ticket had been given as part of a sales commission for the year. Okay, so if the 2 tickets are worth €6,000, 1 ticket then is worth €3,000. So my next account is going to be sales commission. Sales commission is an expense. So I'm going to go debit side, €3,000, 1 ticket. Okay, the second ticket was given to an advertising firm as payment in full of a debt of €3,250. So we owed €3,250, and instead of paying the €3,250, we gave them a ticket worth €3,000, and that was in full settlement. So we owed them €3,250, and they accepted something worth €3,000, which means we got a discount. Okay, so we need to record that now. Someone we owe money to is a creditor. Okay, so we're going to go open creditors, and we're going to reduce the creditors down. Okay, we need to reduce the creditor down by the full amount that we owed them. Okay, so that's €3,250. We're decreasing the creditors. Okay, just a reminder of the liability rules there. And we're decreasing down the creditors by €3,250. 3,000 of that is the ticket, and the other €250 is discount received. Okay, so that's my fourth account here, discount received. And there we go. Discount received is an income. Okay, it's a gain. So we're going to record that on the credit side. And the discount was €250 because we owed them €3,250 and they accepted something worth just €3,000. So now that's it for that. Okay. So we're ready to go now with our journal. Okay, so we've got 2 debits, sales commission, and creditors. Okay, so I'm going to go in here. Sales commission was 3,000 on the debit, and creditors, reducing that creditors down, worth €3,250. Sales commission, just to remind you, is an expense. It would go into selling and distribution if you're doing a question 1. So when we're going further through the question, you need to make sure you put that into your statement of correct net profit. And then going on to my credits, I've got capital of 6,000. Capital is always on the credit side. And we've got discount received of 250. Okay, and that's those 4 entries done. So now we need to give a little explanation there. No entry made. No entry for capital introduced. And clearing of debt. So no entry made for capital introduced and clearing of debt, because we did clear a debt that we owed, and that's the 4th error complete. Okay, so point 5 is Cagney's private car valued at €8,800 was presented to the business. So Cagney gave his own car to the business and it was worth €8,800. So that's going to be capital. Okay, he gave a car, so that's going to be an asset because we're talking grocers. So a car to a grocer is like Super Value or Tesco. A car to those would be an asset. Okay, he took a used freezer from the business for an agreed value of €800. So he took something from the business, so that's going to be drawings. Okay, so we're going to have drawings of €800. The only entry made in the books was a debit of €800 in the equipment account. Okay, so it's telling us they debited €800 in the equipment account, which is totally wrong. Okay, and the freezer had a book value of €1,300. So we're going to have to use that €1,300 to figure out if we've made a loss or a profit on disposal. Okay, so we're going to start off by showing what he actually did. They did use the equipment account, and they debited €800 in that equipment account. That's all they did, €800. So that's the only thing that they did there. You can see I only have one T account with €800 in it. So therefore, our debits and credits didn't balance. So we had a suspense issue. So I'm going to go suspense. And I'm going to credit the suspense of €800. Okay. That was just to make it temporarily balance. So now what we have to do is remove the suspense, get rid of that altogether, okay? Because suspense shouldn't have happened. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause on the equipment account just for now, because I'm going to go in the order of the way it tells us in the question, okay? So Cagney's private car valued at €8,800 was presented to the business. So I'm going to record that first. That's capital introduced to the business. So I'm going to open up the capital account, capital, and I'm going to record that Cagney presented something worth €8,800 to the business. Capital is always on the credit side. Okay, so he's introducing his motor vehicle to the business. Now, this is a grocer, as I said, so motor vehicle is an asset. So I'm going to open up the motor vehicles account and vehicles. And that is an asset of €8,800 being added to the business. Okay, now I'm going to deal with the freezer thing. Okay, so what they did was they showed €800 on the debit side of the equipment account. Okay, that basically means that they increased the equipment account by €800, which is totally wrong because they didn't get an extra piece of equipment. They gave out a piece of equipment. So I'm going to undo that €800 because it's totally wrong. Okay, so the book value of the freezer was €1,300. So the freezer is a piece of equipment, so that's why I'm using the equipment account. So I'm going to reduce that equipment account by €1,300 because that freezer is now gone. Okay, and it was given to Cagney at an agreed value of €800. So the drawings value is going to be €800. Drawings are always on the debit side, and we're going to go €800 into the drawings account on the debit side. That was because the freezer was taken. Now, the freezer was valued at, had a value of €1,300, and they gave it to Cagney saying at an agreed value of €800. So therefore they made a loss, okay? Because if they had given it to somebody else or sold it elsewhere, they could have got €1,300 for it. So it's going to be a loss on disposal. It's going to be my final account. Loss on disposal, which is an expense, okay? So I'm going to go debit side, €500, okay? And that's that working done. We've a good few entries there. We've an 800 and a 1,300 in equipment. We've got suspense, capital, motor vehicles, drawings, and the loss on disposal. Okay, so what we're going to show there is, instead of showing the two separate accounts for equipment, or two separate entries for equipment, we'll just total that one up, and that will come to €2,100. Okay, so let's go with our journal now. We're going to go debit first. We've got suspense of 800. We have motor vehicles. That was 8,800. We have a loss on disposal. And I'll just write profit and loss beside that just for myself for later on. €500. We have drawings. We have a lot of debits here. Drawings of 800. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 debits, and then my credits. First one is equipment, and that's the two figures added together. And we're going to go €2,100. That's your 800 plus your 1,300. Next is capital, and that was 8,800, the vehicle that was given to the business. And the last one there is, that's it actually, isn't it? 2 credits. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 debits and 2 credits. And then they should add up. So if you add all of these guys up, it should add up to the same as these figures here. Okay. And that's that working done. Okay. Let's just give a quick narration there. Sorry, go error. incorrect recording of drawings and no entry made for capital introduced. And that's it. That's your journal done. Okay, you don't need to total it up or anything like that. It's not like a trial balance. And that's the 5 errors dealt with. Okay. Next, we're going to look at doing the suspense account. So to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to look through your journal. Okay. Suspense is the next thing. It's only 6 marks. So you have to highlight or mark, I'm going to go with pink pen here, where I have my suspense. Okay, so we've got suspense here, €15,000, and we also have suspense a little bit further down of 800 on the debit side. So they're my 2 suspense workings. Okay, and I'm going to show you how you go about doing your suspense account now. Okay. So this is what your suspense account will look like, okay? So you're showing the 2 entries that you have in your journal. So just go back up to the journal there. We had a credit of 15,000 and we have a debit of €800. That's what I did here. Now, when you're getting this in your copy, when you're writing this in your copy, leave 1 line blank, okay? So draw out your T account, leave 1 line blank, okay? Your first line blank, and then put your entries in underneath, okay? So we've got a credit of 15,000 and a debit of €800, okay? You need to find out, you need to close off this account, but the whole point of this is to find out what was the original balance or the original difference that was shown in the suspense account. So what the first thing you do is you total off the 2 sides, okay? You can see there that the credit side is much bigger. We've got 15,000 on the credit side and we have 800 on the debit side. So your total is €15,000. You're putting the total of the bigger side basically into the total boxes. So we're going to go 15,000 on both, okay? We clearly already have 15,000 on the credit side. So the difference then is going to be on the debit side. What do we need to put in to make it balance up? Okay, so we've not balance, but to close it off. So we have €800. So how do we bring that up to 15,000? Well, then you're going to enter €14,200, and that's my original difference of €14,200 on the debit side. So you can see there you've got 6 marks, 2 for each entry. So 2 for the two pieces of information coming from your journal, and then 2 for the original difference. Okay, and that's it for your suspense account. So you're just feeding that information into your suspense from your journal. Okay, so the next part is your statement of corrected net profit. Okay, so what you need to do here is, again, go through your journal and see, well, what would usually go into your profit and loss account? So what you're doing is you're just going to quick scan. Debtor, does that usually go into profit and loss? No, it doesn't. Bank, no. Bad debt, yes, it does. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to put a box around anything that usually goes into the profit and loss, and I'm going to do a green box around those. Okay, so bad debt does, bad debt expense. Debtor doesn't, bank doesn't, discount allowed does. So I'm going to go box around that again. Next one, we've got purchase returns. Yes, they usually go into profit and loss. Creditor doesn't. Okay, suspense doesn't. Hire of equipment, I have the profit and loss written beside that to remind me that does go in. The next one was current assets, so that doesn't. And then we've got capital, which doesn't go into the profit and loss. Sales commission does. Creditors don't. Capital doesn't. And discount received does. Okay, so you can see anything that usually goes into profit and loss, that's what I'm highlighting here. Motor vehicles, that doesn't. Loss and disposal does. Drawings doesn't, equipment doesn't, and capital doesn't. So we've got how many do we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 entries there that need to go into the profit and loss account. Our statement of corrected net profit. So just to show you what to do here, anything that I've highlighted in green or put the box around in green, on the credit side, that will be added into my statement of corrected net profit. Okay, so this only applies to the statement of corrected net profit. Anything on the credit side gets added in. Anything on the debit side, that gets taken away in the profit and loss only. Okay, profit and loss only. So those rules are only for the profit and loss. So let's go down to the profit and loss account and show you what you need to do there. So you're going to start off by going original net profit as per books, and that's gotten in the question. Okay, so I'll just show you again. Sorry now for this. I hope you can follow what I'm doing here. We've got a profit and loss there of €87,200, but that was incorrect. That was the profit and loss that they got when they continued on with the accounts, even though there was loads of errors. But now we're after fixing the errors, so we need to fix the profit and loss. Okay, so back down to our statement of corrected net profit. We're starting off with that €87,200, and we're putting in any figures on the credit side, we're going to add on. So we're adding anything on the credit side, okay? So we've got €50 there, and we have €250, the discount received and the discount allowed or disallowed. So we're going here, discount 50, and then the other discount of 250, okay? So that's discount disallowed. I've put it in as discount allowed, but that's okay. Okay, so 50 and 50, €250. Then I'm going to take away anything that was on the debit side. So the 5 items that I have on the debit side there in green, the 747, 3,500, 3,408, €3,000 and €500, they're all going in here. They might be in a different order, but that's fine, okay? So I'm adding those 5 together. Sorry, get rid of the highlighter. I'm adding these 5 together to get my total, which is €11,155, and I'm subtracting that from the figure above it to give me my corrected net profit. My real net profit is actually €76,345. So again, you can see feeding that information into my statement of corrected net profit, everything is coming from my journal. So once I've got the journal done, that's the hard part done, okay? Remember, another just reminder, you're adding on anything for the profit and loss that's in the credit side, and you're taking away anything for the profit and loss that's in the debit side, okay? And that's it for your statement of corrected net profit. Next up will be your balance sheet, your corrected balance sheet. Okay, so looking through the journal there, anything that's left that I haven't highlighted as either suspense or net profit, the statement of corrected net profit, that means the rest of those affect the the balance sheet, okay? So first of all there, we've got debtor, that's balance sheet, I'll just circle them, sorry. Debtor, bank is balance sheet, debtor again, balance sheet, bank, balance sheet. Then we've got creditor, that's going to be balance sheet. Hire of equipment is balance sheet. Capital is balance sheet. Basically anything you can see there we have left is for the balance sheet, okay? They're all balance sheet items. So you're given the balance sheet template in your question, and you're going to use that template for your answer, okay? So anything that's in the question, you're going to use in your answer. So the first off, we're going to use the exact same template. So whatever columns they were in the question, we're going to use the same columns here again, okay? So the first one there was premises. In the question, so if you could just have the question in front of you while you're watching this, so I don't have to keep flicking back and forward. So premises was €650. Sorry, €650,000. There was no change there, okay? No change. We didn't adjust anything on premises in our journal, so that's going to stay the same there. So €650,000. Next up, we have our motor vehicles, okay? Our motor vehicles, sorry, actually equipment is next in the question, but I have the solution here, so we'll just go with motor vehicles. Motor vehicles in the question was €72,000. Now we did have an adjustment to that when Cagney gave his motor vehicle to the business. So just scroll back up there to that. We've got a debit of €8,800, okay? So debiting an asset account increased it. So you need to know your rules here. So I'm going to start off basically with my €72,000 that I had, and I'm going to add on that €8,800 there. So it's 72,000 plus the 8,800, which leaves it at €80,800. Equipment we had an adjustment to as well in that same working where he took the freezer. So in the question, the equipment was valued at €35,000, and we had 2 entries then if you look back in your T accounts, we had 2 entries of €2,100. They're on the credit side of the equipment account up here, €2,100. That's, if you're crediting an asset, that's decreasing it, so I'm taking it away. So you need to know the rules. €2,100, which leaves your equipment at €32,900. Now I might just write these rules out here. If it's an asset that we're looking at, if it's a debit, you're going to add it on, and if it's a credit, you're going to take it away. And then a liability is the opposite, okay? So that's a plus here and a minus on the debit, okay? So they're the rules of your assets and liabilities, okay? Next, I'm going current assets. So we're still looking here at the asset rules, okay? Debit is we're going to add it on if we debited, and we're going to take it away if we credited. Stock, okay, stock is where suspense was buried, okay? If you look at the question, it says stock including suspense. So our stock in the question was €185,400. We didn't have any adjustments to that in the question. So the only thing is the suspense. So let's look here at the suspense account. So the suspense balance was €14,200 on the debit side, okay? Now, what happens there is they debited €14,200 in the stock, okay? Stock is an asset. So they debited €14,200 to the stock account, okay? Which means that they added it on, okay? They added an extra €14,200 to the stock. Now that was a mistake. Suspense is only temporary while they sort out the mistakes. So for you to fix that, you need to put €14,200 on the credit side, which means you need to take it away, okay? So in the stock, we're going to have to take that away for 185,400, which is in the question, minus the 14,200, which is the suspense figure, okay? And that's leaves us then with a stock figure of €171,200. Okay, so that's my real stock figure then once the suspense has been dealt with. Next is debtors, and we have two entries for that. I think that was in the first one with the check. So we had a debit and a credit. So I'm adding on the debit and I'm taking away the credit, which leaves my debtors at €36,300. Cash. In the question, we had €1,500. There was no change there, okay? There was no change at all. So we're going to leave that at €1,500. So if there's no change, that figure still has to go into the answer. You don't just forget about it, okay? So you need to put it into the balance sheet. So we've got cash of €1,500. And the last thing was my rent prepaid, which I had actually labelled as a current asset. So don't forget that. The rent prepaid is what they've called a hire of equipment prepaid, €852. So you can just go hire of equipment. You can call that hire of equipment prepaid, €852, which leaves my total for my current assets at €209,852. Okay. Next, I'm going liability. So we're switching over to the liability rules now. We're going credit. If it was a credit, you need to add it on, and if it's a debit, you need to take it away. Okay. So creditors in my question worth €58,500. Did we have any adjustments to that? I'm sure we probably did. Flicking back up here, where did we have creditors? So we have one here, 11,500 on the debit side. We also have another 3,250 on the debit side. So they're both going to be subtracted. And then we have, that's it actually. So we've got two. And they're on the debit side, which means that we need to take them away. Okay, so the €58,500 from the question, and I'm subtracting the two, the 11,500 and the 3,250 because they're on the debit side. Again, debit side, looking at our rules here, means you need to subtract them. Okay, so that leaves my creditors figure at €43,750. And then bank is next. In the question was €32,000. Okay, and we've got two entries for bank. They're both in the same working. We've got €780 on the credit side here. You can see it here. And we also had €83 on the debit side. So we've got one debit and one credit. Okay, so with the credit, we're going to add that on. So the credit was 830 and we're adding it on. And that's because credit is add on in your rules. And then we have, sorry, where am I looking here? 780. Here we go. That's going to be added on, and the €83 then is going to take it away, because it's a debit. So that leaves your bank at €32,697. Next, I'm going into my finance by section, which is capital. Capital to begin with was €810,000 in our question. So you can see that there, 810,000, and we had three entries. They were all on the credit side. So that's going to be added on. You're never going to have a takeaway in the capital, just so you know, if you want to remember that. So you're going to add the three entries on, which leaves my capital then at €829,060. My corrected net profit, that's coming from my statement of corrected net profit. So the 76,345 is coming down from here, 76,345. So you're carrying that through for 1 mark. And then our drawings, we had €7,500 in the question, plus another €800 when he took the freezer, which leaves my drawings at €8,300, which then makes my balance sheet balance there. We've got the balance of €897,105 on both. Okay, and that's it for the accounts. All that's left then is our theory. So the last part of the question there is a small theory part for 6 marks. So it's identify 3 types of errors that affect the balancing of a trial balance. And this is coming straight from the handout that I gave you. So thanks to Michael Galligan for that handout. He was a creator of the handout. So if errors which affect the trial balance, okay? So a sum error is the first one. So it's where you've added or subtracted incorrectly to get the wrong closing figures, okay? So it's a sum error. You can see there in the T accounts it's given an example. So on the left we've got what should have happened, and on the right we have what actually happened. And the second one is double entry errors. You put you only put in one half of the double entry and you forgot the other half. So on the left hand side here we have what this here is what should have happened, and on the right hand side there we have what actually happened. They only put one entry in, okay? And the last one there is misplaced entries, and it's an entry on the wrong side, and therefore both entries are on the same side and nothing is on the other side. So we've got 2 credits or 2 debits and we don't have a double entry, so that is a misplaced entry. So that's your answer there: some errors, double entry errors, and misplaced entries. Okay, and that's the full question done, 100 marks. You would have 45 minutes to do this in your exam.